Waste. So learn what are the seven types of MUDA, okay, and then what is the 3M stands for. So let us try to understand. Now, if you see, most of the time we get to see, we understand like what is waste, and we think that whatever we are throwing in the dustbin is this the only waste in an organization, or there are some waste like which we can't see. It's not like that. Whatever you are throwing in the dustbin, that is not the only waste. There are so many waste which is happening within the organization. Is this the only waste? No, this is not the only waste. There are so many waste which is happening in the organization, and that is the purpose as a working professional or as a like whatever role in which whatever role like you have in your organization, that should be our focus. That should be our purpose. So there are two types of waste if I talk about. Like one we say is a waste which is visible, which is easy to see. If you see rejection, rework, repair, these all are easy to see waste. But then there are some hidden waste within the organization which are difficult to see and which develop which need basically an eye to see abnormality. How you can see the waste which is hidden? How you can see the waste which is not easily visible? And that is the purpose of lean. That is the purpose. Like you develop that eye to see abnormality. It includes your change in mindset. It includes even the technical knowledge as well regarding your subject, right? Let's say, for example, motor body temperature. If motor body temperature, if the temperature of the motor is high, what does it mean? You are in any office, whether irrespective of the organization, what does it mean? If the temperature is high, okay, what is the waste which is happening? The waste will be there will be more resistance and the electricity consumption will be higher. Think about that. How many motors in a typical concern manufacturing company or even a service sector? How many motors might have been used, right? So think about that, right? So if higher like motor temperature means that there is a loss of energy, and if pulley belt slippage is there, then there's a what kind of loss which is happening? There's a loss which is happening. We say is the loss of transmission, right? So the whatever like you want this RPN you want, okay, whatever the uh, okay, that will you will not get the transmission what you want at the other end, right? That is one of the loss. So there are so many losses which is happening on the organization. The purpose of like the identification of waste, that you should be able to see the waste within your organization. And then there's a concept of like two factories. What does it mean when we say like a good factory and the bad factory? So what does it mean when we say good factory or bad factory? So good factory, what it does, it produces good product and it's a preventive approach to problem. When we talk about bad factory will produce bad products, rejection, rework, breakdown, line stoppage, complaints, issues. Now there's a fight, always fight between good factory and bad factory. In any organization, there will be two kind of factory. Good factory, okay, and then there's a bad factory. The point is, okay, there's a good factory, now it's a bad factory. The point is like the organization which has more bad factory, like okay, bigger bad factory will go in losses. Those companies, organization will go out of business because they'll not be able to sustain, right? How can they be able to sustain if they have a bigger losses? They'll not be able to sustain a long term. And the company which has like more good factory and a very small size of bad factory, and they also like put effort so that they can reduce the size of the bad factory, those are the companies which thrive and grow in today's time. So my question is, for which factory you are working for? You are working for good factory or you are working for bad factory? You have to decide like what time. Some people say jokingly that 50% time I work for good factory, 50% time I work for bad factory. Absolutely, you have to work 100% time for the good factory because this is what you want, that you need to reduce the size of the bad factory within your organization, and that's how you can grow and that's how your organization can grow. Okay, so which factory you are working for? Obviously we are working for good factory. But when even saying this is not enough, because you have to develop this power of thinking. What does it mean by power of thinking? That means once you see the like any situation, like this is your current reality, and then you see, oh, I have to go to this ideal state. So you have to imagine that. You have to think, okay, can I reduce this? Can I reduce this wastage? Can I save money on this? So you have to apply this power of thinking, right? So you have to develop this mindset. You have to look at the waste, right? And then you have to think that, okay, what best I can do. So this, if you don't have this thinking, I know what will happen. I'll show you like in next few minutes, like when we'll come to MUDA and this, I'll show you I'll give you activity. I'll show you activity, and you will see that you have to develop that I2C abnormality. You have to think what best I can do, right? So let's move ahead. So what is the advantage? Like if you go for waste elimination and if you focus on the MUDA, so these are some of the typical advantage which most of the companies will get. Like they will meet customer demand, reduction in accident by 50%. They will double the number of inventory turns. That means a lesser amount of inventory. They will have more sale or more finished goods, right? Increase productivity, reduction in defects, reduction in setup time, reduction in the manufacturing space. So companies need to eliminate traditional thinking and embrace the tools and techniques of lean management. This is a need of an hour that companies need to adopt this lean practice, lean thinking, right? If not, then you know what will happen. They'll not be able to meet customer expectation. Let us understand about this 3M, a beautiful like tool, you can say lean tool, 3M. So what does it mean? And why do we need to eliminate the 3M? Because if we do not eliminate the 3M like a dinosaur, it will kill your company. If you do not kill this 3M, it will kill your company. And who can kill this? You don't have to fight and go in the border and fight as a soldier, right? You have to fight against 3M. Okay, the wastages, you have to fight against that, and that is what is the purpose of like any working on professional in an organization. Right? You need to fight against 3M. And how you can fight? Once you are well equipped with these tools. If you don't have ammunition, how you can fight? If you don't have knowledge, how you can fight? If you don't have mindset, how you can fight? And that is the purpose, like why we are doing this workshop. A Japanese equivalent for the waste, when you say non-value added activity for which the customer is not paying you, like this guy is filling up a bucket and there are so many leakage. If this is value added activity, no, it is not, because there are this is resulting. There's a leakage which is happening. There's a wastage which is happening. So the purpose is to identify what is value added and what is non-value added activity. What is value added activity? Value added activity is something which for the customer for like is ready to pay you. That is a value added activity. What is non-value added activity for which the customer is not ready to pay you? That is a non-value added activity. I'll give you an example like of a service sector. Let's say we are making so many videos, okay, and we make videos, and then if let's say if we do some editing work and if there are some rejection, if there are some retake, is this a value added activity? Is this like adding any value? Absolutely not. Like if you do a lot of editing, if you do like a lot of retake, if the customer will pay for that, or we have to pay from our own pocket, we cannot increase the price. We will not say, okay, we have price like this course at 5,000 rupees because we had so many retake by the trainer, and that's the reason we will offer you. We have to pay some additional money to him, and that's the reason we will offer you this at 5,500 or 6,000. It is not possible, right? And so I gave you this one example. In the similar way, like you are in software industry, okay, you will do like so many, you will run it and there are so many bugs, you have to fix that, and there are so many like issues. Like if you, okay, definitely there will be some like number of hours or project basis, like he'll tell you, okay, that is what the number of hours like you can like devote to that product. Let's say if you are devoting more hours on that, it's very difficult to demand like money from the customer if it is your mistake or your competency issues, right? And is more related to manufacturing. If you do like so many types of mudas, so these all like will read in a next few minutes, like what are those types of mudas, which are basically a kind of non-value added activity for which the customer is not ready to pay you and which your organization has to bear, and you have to like take the pinch and take the I say the amount of that particular MUDA. Your organization, your top man, your organization has to face that. Your organization has to accept that. This is what we need to do. What are those kind of ways? So there are a number of different kind of ways. We'll read that in the next few minutes. It could be a weighting of material. It could be a scrap. It could be a rework due to poor material quality. So when we say NVA, non-value added activity, what do you mean by non-value added activity? In simple terms, non-value added activity is something for which the customer is not willing to pay. That is the meaning of non-value added activity. And MUDA is the like opposite to value, because it wants that for which like customer is like willing to pay, and that is what you need to do. That is what you need to make sure that to identify the wastage in the supply chain. Let's consider like few of the examples. Okay, let's say actual work comprises of few moments of spot welding. You're doing the spot welding. Yeah, there are some auxiliary work which you need to do, like setting up, removing the workpiece, putting the workpiece, taking the workpiece from a place, and then putting that. You are doing this auxiliary work. These are called auxiliary work. And MUDA might comprise unnecessary. Now, what could be the MUDA? The wastages. Okay, so wastages is Like wastage means like unnecessary walking or reaching out to set up for the workpiece, making more sport well than what is necessary. Okay, you will say, okay, I need the standard is like 4, but let me do 6 so that I'll do. But that is also a mood of our processing, that it will go to our processing, right? Making more pieces than demand. Okay, let me produce more. This is also considered muda. So these all are like muda. So this is an opposite to value. Value is something for which customer is willing to pay. Muda is something for which customer is not willing to pay. And to identify that, you must be aware what are the different kinds of muda. You must be identify. You must be aware about that. But let us first see the like different muda, like 3M. Like when you say 3M. So 1M stands for muda. Then there is one more M. Some of like many of the members might not be aware about that. It stands for muri. The muda is different, and then there are like 7 different types of muda or wastage. And then this is a muri. What does muri stand for? Muri means overburden. That is behind one power or excessiveness or impossible or unreasonable. Like this guy, like you see, if you overburden him, like if you overburden machines, overburden your process, what will happen? There will be more failure. They even it could be human, right? There will be a breakdown, and in turn there will be a losses. In turn, it will result into a customer delivery failure. In turn, it will result into a more money you have to put, like in terms of replacement. People will resign. They will leave your organization when it comes to human being. If you are putting more burden, it could be like Muri could be our burden could be on machines. The our burden could be that of human being, and that's the reason you see now there are so many cases when people are getting hypertension, they are getting heart attacks, okay, they're getting disease just because of their work life balance is not there, and then there are too much politics and too much pressure for so many members. Some of you might be watching, might be able to link this. That the unreasonable pressure is there much time, and this can also result into a overburden, and this can also result into a low for efficiency of a person, which in turn result into a lower productivity for the organization. So Muri can result also from Mura. Yes, from Mura this can also Muri can also result. Let's say you are doing like there's a lot of inventory or a lot of overproduction is there. You are puzzled where I should keep it, and there's a lot of manpower is involved or to manage that. It can result from the Mura itself, and in some cases by excessive removal of muda from the process. Okay, so let's just try to like look at this one example where you will see like what happen like if you overburden, if you put too much of strain, so what will happen? Like you must have seen this kind of fix, right? So what would happen? And that's the reason when you see this, and this is the result: accident, death, casualties, right? Just to save few bucks, right? So these are the results. Okay, these are the results, right? The death penalty, the penalties. This is what we don't want, right? That is the concept of Muri. So let now coming to the like shop floor. So working area and movement should not create fatigue. So that is the purpose. Like Muri means it should not create fatigue, and human how basically the human relationship is with your machine, and it comes under ergonomics. Like if you see here, this person has to bend too much. Okay, there is too much. Like every time he has to bend and take something from a height, what will be the result? What will be the cause? Joint pain. Okay, low efficiency, and that's the reason if you see like within like normal working area, that's a normal working area. Okay, and if you see this diagram tools are like beyond the normal working area, and this is what when industrial engineer or engineering people when they design a line, even when they design a workstation, so they keep this in mind, right? What should be the like they should try to reduce the fatigue. So that's the main purpose of Muri, is to reduce the fatigue. Okay, I'll show you one example. Like you can do this with me. Let's say there's a machine, right? Lathe machine or any other machine, and whose handle is like this. So if you bend your hand, let's say you bend your hand, you rotate this. You can do this with me together. Yes. By watching this video, you can do this. Put your hand like this, and then rotate. Okay. Rotate. Now you see, you are rotating a machine. Okay, let's say operator is running a machine. Now you see, there's some strain here. There's some strain here. Okay. Now I'll do one Kaizen right now in front of you. If you do like this, there's a pain, like there's some stress, and if you do it too much, then this there will be some pain, and the operator fatigue will be there, and he will have like so many. This could result into a disease. Okay, this could result into fatigue. Now instead of this handle, right, you change the position of the handle like this. Now you do that like this. Let's do like this. Like put your hand like this straight. Now you see if you rotate this. Now you see where is the stress? Now this stress has gone. Now, in your wrist, there's no stress. Did you see this? When you do like this, there's a stress here. But when you change the position of the handle and you do like this, then there is a reduced stress. There is no stress. That's the one typical example I gave you for Muri, right? And that is what like lot of like these small improvements need to be done, because at the end, if the operator has a lot of fatigue, which will result into a low productivity, which will result into a higher defect. Okay, so I hope you got the you love this activity, right? Understood the concept of Muri to reduce the strain. So Muri, if there's a Muri, it will add cost to machines. We have a design capacity. We are putting too much of strain. People getting overtired, working in a strained posture. You don't want to be them in a strained posture, right? Okay, and that's the reason. Like there are so many like chairs, like which even if you are sitting in office, okay, they are such like that, so that yeah, it's as per your like it's comfortable to your body posture. Okay, and then whatever laptops or mobiles you have, it should be at the like same level. It should not look like this or look like, okay, if you work like this or work like that, you will see a lot of like strain. Okay, this will put a lot of strain. That's the reason you put it at eye level. Yeah. And do you work manually or to be done by machine? Yes. Strain due to poor design, increased workload due to non-available to people to cope with that. So all these are examples of Muri. Now you will say, okay, show this slide and share this information with your top management. They are we are getting too much strain. But sometimes, yeah, that's the need of an hour. Sometimes you have to. But then if it is beyond certain capacity, then that is something like which should not be done. Like beyond someone capacity, should not be done. And that should be at the time when you are establishing your workplace, at the time when you are putting your work in place, at that time itself, this should be inbuilt within the system. That is the intention. Okay, Muri, strain, Muda, wastage, Muri, strain, Muda, Muri. Now there is one more word. What is that one? Mura. Okay, Muda, 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 wastage, Muri, strain, and then Mura. Like in Hindi we say Jamura. Okay. So you can easily remember 3M. You can repeat this 3-4 times, you'll remember. Muda, Muri, Mura. Muda means wastage. Muri, strain. And then what is this Mura? This Mura is unevenness. Okay, they say this unevenness. So if line is not balanced, if there is too much like non-uniformity and irregularity, that is the meaning of Mura. And Mura like drives to Mura can leads to Muda, and for the uneven workstation capacity, this is an example of Mura. Okay, so Mura means unevenness, so not leveling. Now let's see like a very beautiful example. Like here you see, okay, let's say Muda. Muda means you are the unutilization. So the one of the Muda could be the talent not utilized. That's the 8 ways people say, right? Okay, the human talent not get utilized, or the capacity is not getting utilized. That's a wastage. You have to pay for that. Okay, you have to pay for that. Okay, and what is this Muri? Strain, our burden, and you have seen the truck. What happened to truck? And this is very common in road. When you see, this is very common. And what is this Mura? Unevenness. Okay, unevenness, a lot of fluctuation. That's the example of. And here there is no Mura. Okay, that is what you want. Okay, great. So that is the concept of 3M: Muda, Muri, and Mura. I hope you got the understanding of this requirement, right? Let us move further. Now let's look at the different types of Muda, right? So there are like very popular, like these are the 7 types of Muda, and the easy way to remember this type of Muda is just remember this one word, which is called tame wood. Make this tame wood your friend. Yeah, make tame wood your friend. And if you make this Tim would your friend, as I said, how you will develop, how exactly you develop an I2C abnormality, how you will see I2C abnormality when your Tim would is your friend. When you look at a process, you can identify, oh, this waste is happening, or this is a type of muda which is happening, because you will be focused on that. You'll be focusing on that. Like this is a wastage which is happening. This is the type of waste which is happening. So you will be conscious about that, and you will be able to identify that. So make this Tim Wood your friend for life, and you will see that you will be able to identify these wastages in your shop floor, in your workplace. What does it stand for? There are seven types of muda. Muda of transportation. Okay, T when metal movement is there. T for transportation. Muda of stock. Muda of inventory. TIM. TIM. Muda of movement. Man movement. Motion. Movement. Yeah, motion or movement. We also say like that. Okay. W stands for waiting. Okay, waiting is happening. You are in line, right? In Hindi we say आप कतार में हैं. You are in line. Our production. Oh, next our processing. For the customer is not, for the process which you are doing, for which the customer is not ready to pay. That's our processing. I'll show you an example of this. And then D, defect. So how to remember? Just remember this one word, Tim good. T, transportation. I, inventory. M, movement or motion. W, waiting. O, our production. O, our processing. D, defect. And now let's look at this one by one. Transportation. So, like unnecessary movement or relocation of item will come under transportation. Like, so what is the transportation? Conveyance is caused by long distance between two similar machine or two. It could be within the organization, it could be outside the organization, but there is a like movement which is happening. Like, yeah, let's say, okay, there's a lot of like there's one machine here, machine number one, machine number two, and then there's a trolley which is here. You have to keep there is a 20 feet distance. You have to travel. This trolley need to be traveled, right? So that is not free. That's mode of transportation, because you have to bear the cost of trolley. You have to bear the cost of a person who is carrying this trolley. There's a lot of waste which is happening. Moving product from one location to another. This is the most common waste, which is difficult to reduce or eliminate. Why? Because then you say, oh, I have to. This has to be done because my layout is such like that. How can I reduce that? And the movement of mode of transportation is done by distance. So how much distance it is being traveled. So best practices, like wherever possible, you minimize this distance. It could be like you try to use less of your resources, like no manpower is required. Okay, you may use robotics or you may use some conveyor. That is how like you can reduce the wastages. Okay, if not the transportation altogether. And in a bigger way, like if you see outside the company organization also, then if you see there are companies like Maruti in Gurgaon and Tapukheda, Honda, Bajaj in Pantnagar, Tata Motors in Pantnagar. And so what do you see? Like they always try to keep their vendors like close to the manufacturing point. Wherever they are manufacturing, they will try to keep their vendors within the same a close proximity. Why the close proximity? So that they can reduce the cost of transportation, right? So it can be applicable there. So what is the impact of transportation of waste? It will increase metal handling. Metal handling is not free. There is a money which is involved in the metal handling, because there will be some, like money which is involved, like some person will be involved, movement will be involved. That could be some cost will be involved in the movement. It could be electricity, like operated vehicle. It could be diesel operated vehicle. Okay, there is some cost which is involved. Increase metal handling cost, increase waste of manpower, increase chance of damage of product. If there is too much of movement, so what will happen? The movement will happen, then there is chances of damage will happen. That is what will happen. Like if there is a lot of movement, there are chances of the damage is also there. You understand? Like when you get your some product from Amazon, it's a fragile product. Much time you see that you get the product, all the packing is. They try to have good packing, but sometimes then you also see that you get damaged product. Why? Because of this transportation, right? So there's a possibility, like when there's a lot of transportation is involved, there's a possibility of metal getting damaged. Transportation ways to optimize. You improve the layout so that there's less like transportation. You eliminate the transportation activity by removing temporary storage area. That's a good way. Like, and this is only possible when you have like land balancing, and then there is not too much of material which is or inventory which is placed. That is T. Now, what is it? What does I stand for? TIM. I stands for inventory. Lot of inventory. Lot of inventory. And company get the loan based on the inventory. You know this? Yes. Company get loan based on their inventory. Why? Based on their stock. Why? Because stock is equal to money. Yes, it could be like finished good, it could be work in progress, it could be raw material. Why? Because stock is equal to money. There's a lot of inventory, money gets stuck. Money gets stuck. A lot of inventory, money gets stuck. Right? Let's say you have 1 crore worth of inventory, and think about like 1 crore you could have put in Indian bank, you could have got like 7-8% FD rate, fixed deposit rate. Okay, you using 8 lakhs rupees, and that's the opportunity cost. What if like if you can reduce inventory cost from 1 crore to 50 lakhs, you will directly save 4 lakhs in a year for your organization. That is a rough estimate. Which I am trying to say is how much inventory is of importance, right? I'm not telling like keep the inventory zero. Yeah, if you can, then yes. But then obviously safety stocks and all that need to be considered. But then a lot of inventory will is equal to a lot of cost. The waste of unnecessary inventory refers to holding excessive stock. The result of holding greater amount of finished good or work in progress, whatever it could be, you have to keep that inventory. You have to look for a storage, and then people will say, "Oh, sir, we are short of storage." And if you talk to any store people or any supply chain people, they will have one bigger complaint. What is that complaint? Storage. We don't have storage. Storage is less. Storage is less. Storage is less. That's a bigger complaint. Why? It could be a real complaint, but much time it's because poor planning. It's because inventory management is poor. That's the reason. The greater the inventory, greater the waste, right? The greater the inventory, greater it tends to hide the real cause behind the emergency or breakdown. So what happens if a lot of inventory? Very difficult to like see the abnormality or metal get damaged, right? A lot of disadvantage of having excessive inventory. And that is what you need to look at. Having excessive stock will lead to what? A lot of there will be increased lead time, right? Because search time will increase, limited floor space, poor communication. It will also result into inventory cost, handling equipment and shelf life, leading to poor quality. So let's say you make something which has shelf life. Shelf life means life for which the product will live, or the expiry date of a product. Making some chemical, making some Loctite or some rubber components. There is a life associated with that. You manufacture that and then you keep it with you, and then life get over. Who has to bear that cost? You as an organization has to bear that cost. These are small things, right? So there are a lot of, that's the reason like it is considered as waste. Waste to avoid customer schedule monitoring, minimum maximum stock monitoring should not be beyond maximum, and proper planning and communication, right? So one like just-in-time system, the Kanban system, these all are like full system will help your organization to keep your inventory to a optimum level. Tim, M, motion, unnecessary movement of hands, unnecessary movement of like steps. I'll give you an example. Look at this. Every time, like running here and there, worker is running here and there to get the tool repeatedly to the rack all the time. That's a MUDA of motion. I do see this. Like a lot of like working order is not proper. You see, a lot of zigzag. Every time run here and there. Look at this movement. And if this can be systematized, what will happen? The time will be saved. It will result into a more productivity. It will result into more number of production. And that is what production want. And that is what the company also want. In less time, they can produce more without having additional resources. Okay. So while you perform any activity in the shop floor and or while operating the machine, some movements are operated. Like you can does not add value. And if you see zigzag movement, sequence motion will reduce the MUDA of motion. They should not be zigzag movement. And this is what you need to study. Unnecessary bending, stretching, walking, lifting. These all add to your motion. Poor ergonomics condition. Ergonomics is a study, is a science of knowing the relationship between human and machine how you can make that compatibility so that human and machine work together happily. That's the purpose of ergonomics. Poor ergonomics will lead to strain. Poor ergonomics will lead to disease, will lead to issues, right? And also leads to waste of motion. MUDA movement work task could lead to MURI as well, strain as well, like which will further lead to health and safety issues. So this can also result into, as I told you, I gave you the example of this rotating your hand. The handle was like this, and the handle was like made like this, so there is no stress on the wrist. That's one example, right? Tim, and this will lead to health issues, safety issues, poor performance, poor task delivery, poor productivity levels. We should not think that we are sitting in AC and comfortable environment. Think about that, the workers, the people who are on the working on the floor, right? What are best we can do, we should do. It's very, very important, right? Some of the ways like time and motion study, that's like one way. Balancing of work element, study each and every movement of operator, standardization of each activity, loading, unloading, SOP, use of standard operating procedure, training and competency building. And this is very like very important, right? Identify this. There are three ways, like we say value added activity. What to be like reviewed, like value added is a value added for which customer is paying you. When you do a let's say drilling operation, the drill is coming down, coming down, coming down, and then drill is happening for 15 seconds, and the drill is going up, going up, going up, goes to its original position. Now, you tell me this one thing. What is the value added activity in that? Drill is coming down from 2 feet, 3 feet, or 5 feet. What is that? It's all our auxiliary work, which can be reduced if possible, right? That's I'm giving you one example. And the customer is paying you for what? Is it they are paying you for the motion, movement of the drill for coming down and going up? No, they are only paying you for the time it touches the metal and start the drilling operation, time it ends that, and that is the only thing for which customer is paying you for that only, the hole which you are making in that particular material. They're not paying you for the movement of the drill. Okay. So think about that. Like value added, which is adding like work and probably the customer is ready to pay. Auxiliary, which are incident motion, like associated with the that particular work. If operator is picking some and then dropping that, that's we say the auxiliary work, right? And let me give you one example. And then wasteful is something like to be eliminated, which is of no value. Let's say I have this mobile, okay, and just I'm giving an example, like, and let's say, okay, I get a phone call, okay, so I'm now this is there on the table, so my hand is coming, picking of mobile by the right hand, looking at the number, sliding up, coming to the, like the mobile is coming to my, near to my ear, and then I started talking, and then I finished talking, and then I cut the phone, okay, and then I'm done with talking, and then I again keep back the mobile back to the table. Now, if you look at this example, like, what is the value added activity from the time when I started like the talk, and from time when I ended the talk? Yeah, of course, it was a useful talk then only. And this is what value added activity. What is auxiliary activity? Auxiliary activity is, what is auxiliary activity? Is it could be sliding, or it could be like bringing my phone to my ear. What are these? These are auxiliary activity. Okay, what could be wasteful activity? Let's say the phone is at a very large distance. Yeah, obviously you should keep at a certain distance, okay, as per some expert. But let's say if it is I'm giving an example, material or some other thing, a fixture or something tool which you require, and if you are doing an unnecessary movement to that place, then what will be that called? It will be called wasteful. So whatever is for this what you need to do. You need to have like step by step activities. You observe, see the shop floor, observe the operator, and then you say what is value added, that is circle. What is non-value added activities, that is triangle. What is wasteful activity is cross. And then you say, let me give you an example. Like now in this same example I give. Okay, let's say some people who are using Bluetooth. Now what happened in Bluetooth? Phone will ring, you look at this, now you will not move your hand, you will simply okay, that accept that, that's it, and then cut that. You don't have to move your hand. It's hands-free. Okay, so there are no auxiliary movement. You have helmet. I'm just giving you an example. Okay, this, by the way, this needs to be applied in shop floor or at your workplace. So what you did, you are hands-free. Okay, you don't have to hold this mobile. Okay, and then for half an hour. Okay, there's some strain will come. Obviously, there could be some disadvantage of using Bluetooth also. Okay, so that is what you did. What you did, you remove the. You can remove. You may improve like on the value added, but you can like first thing you will target is any wasteful activity. You remove that. Any incident auxiliary, you try to minimize that. And then something which is valuable, of course you need to keep that, and if possible, if wherever possible, then only you can remove that. So that's the priority. Value added, auxiliary related to which is helpful for completing your value added, and then wasteful activity. So these are the like symbols or terminologies which you can use. I hope you got the clarity. Tem, W, waiting. What do you mean by waiting? Waiting for what? Now this guy, what exactly he's doing? He's thinking like, okay, he's doing, and now his hands are free. Okay, okay, one hand is busy. Yeah, okay. Then he is free. Today I'll do party. Okay, and this is a bad case. Waiting until a can is filled. What is this? Waiting until a can is filled. And this is what is happening now. One operator like is running multiple machines. Okay, there's automation which is involved in one operator, two machines. Very popular concept. Some companies one operator, three machines. Some company one operator, four machines. Of course, you have to do some automation and not many. It should not be behind. It should not put strain, which is very very important. Here, if you see, okay, yeah, okay, great. This is what can be done. Yeah, while filling AC, do other job. Yeah, can be done. Okay, you have this float wall and then have some buzzer as it fills, and you can do certain kaizen and improvement. You say, oh, the water will fall down. What will happen? Okay, then you can have certain other improvement and kaizen. That's just an example, right? So how you can reduce the MUDA of waiting. Okay. So it is often observed on shop floor that operator wait or watch for the input material which is coming, and there's some processing which is happening. Yes, close the door now. He's waiting for 2 minutes, 3 minutes. Now processing is being done. Operator is waiting for the tools. All these are like MUDA of waiting, right? Waiting refers to, it could be waiting of goods. It could be like much of product life is spent waiting for the next phase. Yes. So product is waiting for the next phase for the operation. And reason to consider is that waste good should never be waiting. Goods should never be waiting. Okay. Goods, this is basically goods, right? So goods should never be waiting. Because for waiting, you're not getting money. If your goods are getting waited, if they are waiting for the next action to perform, the customer is not paying you for that. It's a continuous flow. That's the reason we say continuous flow. So waiting will result into what? Poor flow, larger production, longer travel between the process. These are the result of MUDA of waiting. And waiting of good from previous process can be optimized. How you can optimize a multi-process operation? You can have, like as I said, operator can have like 2 to 3 operation, or you see this special purpose machine. It can do multiple operation at the same time. Waiting for tooling can be operated, delivering the tools on time on machine. You're not going at very far distance and getting the tools from the tool room. You see there are say small rack which is there, and then our tool is as per your planning. The tool is like kept before you need to do changeover. There's a space for that. The practice is like that. The tools will be next tool will be ready. Just like think about in a cricket match. Have you seen in the cricket match in the dressing room, the next player is ready, irrespective if the if someone is like the player who is playing, if he is out or not, it doesn't matter. But the next player is ready with his preparation. Why? Because he has to be ready, right? You can't take. It doesn't happen. Okay, the next player get like let's say he's out, and then the player who's playing is out, and this guy who is next now will go and put his L guard and put everything, and then he will be prepared. Like he'll be prepared. But because we want to reduce what? We want to reduce the MUDA of waiting of next player coming to the field for playing, and that is what you need to do. Think like this: your tool should be prepared, next tool should be prepared. So waiting can be further optimized by better fibers, better planning, and better flow. So these are like these are some of the things you can do so that you can have better minimized waiting. TEM, W, O, overproduction. What does overproduction does? More than what is required. At your home, every day you see this. Some like yes, and some home like the ladies are very conscious. They will not allow even a single piece of grain to go waste. But then when we are alone or sometimes we don't have idea how much we need to make. What happens? We make more food and then that food is waste. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Of course, you have like then what happened? I've seen most of the people like they throw the excess food then next day in the dustbin. That's a bad practice. What is that? Overproduction. So produce that much only which you will consume and take in your canteen. What do you do? If you take a food in canteen or restaurant, you should only take that much which you can consume. And that's the thing. Like in India, like a lot of places, even in many countries. I'm not saying India, but many of the countries, a lot of wastage of food. Yeah, so very important. That is MUDA of our production. You will only produce that what is required. Our production means producing the product in excess quantity, which are not required for the next operational customer as of now. They may require it in the future. And it is considered worst MUDA. Why this is considered as worst MUDA? Because it costs to the company to produce and then lower the quality of product if it sits on the shelf. If that is put in on the shelf, like just like a food, which may get deteriorated. And in a similar way, if your product is there on the finished good, you see and check, there's so much of dead inventory which is there in the stock. This term dead inventory. Dead inventory. What is dead? Not moving, non-moving item. Dead inventory. And that's the reason store. If you talk to the store guy, and if you are from like have store background, if you know, they have this dead inventory or slow moving item. How many items are not moved for last 30 days, 60 days, 90 days? They make this list. And then they show that as a, if it is more than 90 days or more than whatever time period you define as per your SOP, standard operating procedure, that's a dead inventory. You have to give action plan for that. Why did that dead inventory is made? The cost of overproduction is higher changeover, like cost of overproduction, it could be high change over time. Like you say, production will say, sir, if I will change this tooling, it will take like 1 day, 24 hours, 48 hours. So I have to stop production. So that's the reason, like when I'm using this tooling, I want this tool to produce 10,000 pieces altogether. All the demand is 2,000, but sir, I will produce 10,000 because every time I have to change, then it takes 24 hours, 48 hours to do this change. And that is one reason for a cause of overproduction. And what is the antidote? Like you get vaccinated against COVID, right? You get vaccinated against polio. In the similar way, to get vaccinated against this higher change over time, use the concept of quick changeover. What is a quick changeover? That is also called SMED. SMED, single minute exchange of die. That means single minute does not mean 1 minute. Single minute means single digit. You exchange a die in such a way that it should not take more than 9 minutes. Unreliable equipment or unreliable process. So these are the like some of the cause of our production impacts. If you make it, you have to keep it somewhere, and to keep it, you have to put this storage cost. Storage is not free. There's a cost is involved, excessive, lot of lead time. Detection of defective good is quite so very difficult. Like when you have lot of product, it's difficult to like see the defect, and then lot of product is stored over one or another, and you see how the product is stored. If there is too much of production, they are not stored in a way it should be stored, which result into a damage of the product. So do not produce more than what is required. Okay, build confidence process setup, improve machine tool change over timing, very important. Direct waste, reduce finished good area. Okay, yes, very important. Like finished good should not be a larger area. Of course, within the safety stock, yes, it should be whatever you agreed with your customer. It should be moving part. Like let's say you have some storage area, so the metal is coming and it is going in and out. If metal is in and out, what will happen? If lot of turnover is happening, like in and out, in and out, then there will be a space which will be available. If matter is coming in, then the finished good people and they will say, sir, we need more space, we need more additional go down, we need one more area. Reduce space between two operations so that you keep less inventory. Okay, so the product is, there is no place to accumulate a lot of material. Use friendly and appropriate systematic. 2S, a place for everything, everything at place. Oh, increase in rejection. What are the side effects? Like there could be some side effects of like taking some medication in the similar way. Increase in rejection in cash flow, because a lot of like production, you have done the production, it is sitting on the shelf, you are not getting money for that, and that is like you are getting lost for that. More searching, bad condition, companies approaching toward downgrading instead of world class. So these are the disadvantages, and this is called worst of all MUDA, 7 types of MUDA, right? Okay, so our production produce as much as which is required, and which is like which you can sell. Improve information flow, you don't do our production. Approach for concept seller manufacturing, optimize the flow, work in progress to ensure uniform conversion. So these are some of the ways like through which you can have optimum production with your as per the safety stock. It should not be behind that. MUDA, who? Tim Wood. Okay, next what is this? One is our production, other is our processing. Our processing means taking too much time. Like in government department, like if you have to get some approval, it will take so much of time. So what is that? Our processing, it will take more time than what should be. Like if something can be done within our 1 day or 2 day, it will take 15 to 20 days. Like they're too much. Like people, you have to go to 10 number of people to get the approval of your leave. You have to take leave, but you have to go to HR, then your immediate supervisor, then your head of the department, then your plant head. You have to go to 4 levels. Some people do it intentionally. Why some organization may do it intentionally? So that they are lesser, make process complex so that people get discouraged. So they may do it this intentionally, but it is not good, right? Because if it is our processing, a lot of our processing is there, which discourage people and process both. So here let's see, like a lot of like activities are required. It will result, as I gave you the example of leave, right? Here you see our processing, right? What does it mean? Like you are using 2 kind of tool when 1 kind of tool can be used. You are using 2 tools, like this guy. Okay. So what is this? An example of our processing. One tool is for one purpose, other tool is for the one tool is for screw, other tool is for bolt, but then he did this improvement of air tool where he used this, this attachment so that he can use it, he can like use it for both. One screwdriver can be used for both, right? For screw can be used for tightening the bolt, right? Combining and modifying without changing the impact wrench. So that is the one Kaizen and improvement, right? 2 types of head. Okay. It can be like installation of bolt and screw can be done. That's example of about processing. So if something which can be done within X amount of time, and if it's taking Y amount of time, that's an example of our processing. Let's say some drill or some operation can be done in a 15 seconds, and if you're taking more than that 20-30 seconds, that's a waste. That's a example of our processing. Customer is not paying you for that. So in operation, there are so many activities which does not add value, right? Operators are not clear what exactly to be done in particular operation. They are confused. Similar, like several companies purchase high precision equipment to do simple job. Okay, for that there's something which can be done by low precision equipment. If you go for high precision equipment, as I said, it will take more time, more cycle time and which will cause our processing. Higher processing equipment leads to our processing of goods. This can also encompass using wrong supplier, wrong process, right? So these are some of the disadvantage of. Now what to be done? Like you define the work standard, very important. Okay, define the method, give training to people, do the standardization, adhere to the standard parameter, do the periodic validation, define what need to be done by machines, is automatic machine, define clear work which need to be performed by the operator. So there should not be any ambiguity. Ambiguity means confusion, and that's how you can target and reduce the overprocessing in a system. Would OOD, last D, defects. A negative outcome of a process failure is called defect, and the inferior quality product. Defective, what will you do? You will do a rework or you will scrap it. If you do rework, there's a cost which is involved to that, and if you do scrap it, then also let's say your product will be sold at 100 rupees, and if you are doing a scrap, it will be sold at 5 rupees. So that loss you have to make, and this is the final product you have already made. If this would have been dried, you could have sold it at 100 rupees. Now you're selling it at 5 rupees, 95 rupees loss directly. You will say, oh, we'll sell this scrap. We are also earning from scrap. But that is not your intention, is to earn from the scrap. Obviously, some companies like machining and all that, they earn from the scrap. It's totally okay, but that's not your intention. Your intention is earn from the profit, earn from the sale, right? This causes tremendous cost to company. Any small defect, it will impact your bottom line. So when you say top line, revenue, when you say bottom line, profit, it will impact your profit. And this is what you do not want. So impact company profitability, direct effect on the inventory. Let's say if you have more defects, what will happen? Will you be able to meet your customer delivery? No, there will be a low inventory, and this will result into a customer delivery, customer line failure, directly hit delivery, deliver scheduling, it will be delayed, add cost to inspection, because if you do rework or some other reworking, what will happen? You have to add the cost of inspection. What is that? Inspection is free? No, inspection is not free. It's a cost. But inspection is a cost. Inspection is not free. Okay, you have to add that cost directly to the cost of poor quality. When you say cost of poor quality, what does it mean? Cost of poor quality stands for two things. What are those? Cost of poor quality stands for IFC plus EFC. What does IFC mean? Cost of poor quality. What does it mean? IFC, internal failure cost. IFC stands for what? External failure cost. So what will come in? Internal failure cost, rejection, rework, defect, repair. All this will come under internal failure cost. What will come in external failure cost? Customer debit, customer rejection. If you are going to customer for a customer complaint, attending the customer complaint, okay, whatever the travel you make because of that, courtesy, if you're going for a courtesy visit, okay, you may not consider that, but if you're going for like handling the customer complaint, then yes, that will also be considered as a external failure cost. Okay, how much should be? There is no data. Like obviously, if it is 2%, 1%, it's a big failure because that will add directly to your profit. That it will directly consume your profit. It may vary from organization to organization. So the cost of poor quality is always calculated with respect to sales percentage. It is at 1%, 5%, 2%, 3%. Your work should be always reduce the cost of poor quality with respect to sales. Because if you have 10% profit and if cost of poor quality is 5%, 5% profit has gone. How you will survive? Okay. So ways to reduce defect, focus on process improvement, making process more capable. I use the statistical concept. We do have like statistical program and use that concept. Making process consistent, stable, focus on achieving zero defect at each stage. That should be focus. Okay, sometimes you may not get that, but that should be the target area. So type of MUDA in service industry. Okay, now some of you who are from service industry, they will say, okay, how can we use this in our service industry? You can use this in service industry. Any of the industry, this can be used. Concept can be used. Most of the things are relevant in manufacturing, but some of the things you can use in service as well. What are the number of errors you are doing in documentation? What are the transportation of a lot of to and fro of documentation or information is there, which is delaying your project, unnecessary and additional work you have to do, waiting for the next process that once they do that, then we'll do this, unnecessary motion, backlog in the work, underutilized employees, the talent, that is also one type of MUDA, right? So these are the like 6 type of MUDA. Tim Wood. Additionally, some people nowadays also say there is another 7th, they add the 7th, that means the people capability not utilized, the skill not utilized. They also have added